Good morning, afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. Welcome. We are back with another live developer stream to bring you the latest news and information on Microsoft Flight Simulator, as well as answer some of your questions live today. Hello. My name is Jane. I am the Senior Community Manager, and I'd like to say hello to our three panelists. We have Jorg Newman, head of Microsoft Flight Simulator. Hey, Jorg.
Hello.
Welcome back. We also have Sebastian Vlock, CEO and co-founder of Asobo Studio. Welcome back, Sebastian, as well. How you doing today?
Hello.
Hi.
I'm doing great.
Good, I'm glad to hear it. And of course, we have Marcia Boussard, executive producer of Asobo Studio. Welcome back.
Hello.
Glad to
Thank you.
have
That's a
you
good
all.
evening from France. Yeah.
Good evening from France. Yes, we also
Yes.
have a few guests that are going to join us throughout the stream. We will introduce them a little bit later, but just a quick note that there will be a specific Q&A section too, actually, scattered throughout our presentation today. So we do ask that you hold your questions until that time. Get them ready though. We'll definitely go through some live questions as well as some questions that we've gathered from the forums over the past several months. So let's go ahead and get started on our presentation. Jorg, take it away.
Take it away. Hi, as always, great to be here. So last time we met was 2 months ago, July 31st, and it was an unusual one because I made this video that Jane asked me to do because Seb and Martial were unavailable.
Yes.
And while I hope it was useful, I really feel it's important to have these together and live and to be as interactive as possible. So the video thing is not going to be an ongoing thing, Jane. Just saying. So today is the first meeting of the fall. We can tell here, or whether it's raining here. And I wanted to just quickly share some reflections about the summer. Next slide. So in June, we obviously announced Flight Sim 2024. And after the initial shock that there was a new flight simulator coming, I've literally gotten thousands of messages from y'all. And it's overwhelmingly positive, and people are excited. And I can also tell you that people have lots of feature ideas. But seriously, it's very encouraging for the team because we're making it for you guys, right? I mean, that's really what it's for. All right, then next slide. Yeah, we went to the Flight Sim Expo, Seb and I, and a bunch of people from MS and Working Title were there. Had the opportunity to go attend our very first Flight Sim convention, and thinking back on it, it was just awesome. There's another slide. We gave our little presentation. Sometimes I would say the forums sometimes get a little testy, but it was such an overwhelmingly positive thing with like almost thousands of people, and how much they love aviation and flight simming, and how knowledgeable the community is. There's nothing really like it. I can tell you, I've been making games almost 30 years. Never seen anything like this before. And Evan already pinged me. He obviously announced where it's going to be in 2024, Vegas, and if we're going to be coming. And I assured him we will try our very best. I certainly want to come. So that was awesome. And then the next thing that maybe not as many of you know, we went to Gamescom. We didn't really make a big deal of it this year. We only had a little booth, and it was just Jane and Sean from Community and me. So that's next slide. Oh yeah, here we go. So that was our little booth. And if you go to the next slide, so we had constant lines. And what I wanted to show you this, and I don't know if you see it, it struck me. Look at the age of everybody there. It's all teenagers. This is the future of flight simulators. They're sitting right there. It's awesome. So it was very nice. And so anyways, that was Gamescom in August. Then next slide. We launched a city update. We launched also the next slide. One of my favorite planes. I know everybody's probably sick and tired of water planes, but that one, it really means something to Germans, not just Jorg. So, but I'm glad we did it, and I know from the people, I think it's a 4.8 or 4.9 from the review. So at least those of you who tried it love it. So thank you for that. All right, then next slide. Then we got some news. I don't know if you saw it. We obviously announced that at the Xbox showcase that we do something with Dune. and then the Dune movie, for a variety of reasons, was moved into 2024. And yes, we always said we're going to do something very close to the launch, and so we're moving our thing to 2024, which causes a little bit of an issue. If you go to the next slide, if you look at our roadmap, look there, I made it red. So basically, today we'll talk about things in September. We'll also talk about things in October. Dune was the big deal in November, and we're actively working on what else can we do to delight y'all. So we're not quite locked in yet, but we're working on things that I think will make a difference for the holiday season. So keep watching the skies. And then last thing, and then I'll be quiet. We went to the Reno Air Races. The community team did, Sean, Jane, Chris, and Tyler. And I think it was great, but I wanted to say here, I don't know if you followed it. There was this terrible accident. I think it was the second to last race in the T6 class, and we lost two pilots, Chris Rushing and Nick Macy. Both, I met them both. They were fantastic people. Both of their planes are in the sim. We have not reached out to the families yet, but we will. There has to be a little bit of time, but we will do what we can to help. And so anyways, just wanted to acknowledge that. And then Timo, we met in Cologne. I just want to say I put your bear right there, just in case you're here. Thank you for the bear. All right, that's it. Next.
Awesome. Thank you, Jorg. We'll dive right into talking about Sim Update 13, which is coming out tomorrow, actually. Thank you to all the beta testers throughout the past few months who have really helped us on the forums, providing feedback, reproduction of issues. It has been a huge help for us, so thank you so much. All right, on to our active development. Let's talk about a few things on here. Marcial, we'll start with you. Now there is a fix in the beta. We're calling it the white dot fix. Can you
fix,
go into
yes.
what the new fix is for this for those who have not been in the beta?
Yes, that was introduced in AAU2. So we decided to do a change on the input so people could use any kind of joystick in order to move the cursor. And unfortunately, that has created a site and unintended effects. And so we had these little dots moving on screen whenever you were doing a movement with the camera. So in order to fix that, we did two new entries in the options. So if you go to general options and accessibility, I will have to look at my notes because I can't remember the name of these two options by heart. So we've got two options. The first one is called show the white dot cursor. And if we look, so this allows you to display or hide the cursor when using any type of peripherals.
Mm-hmm.
When you do move the camera, and we've got the other one, which is called LO2D cursor on all peripherals. And then you can trigger or not the fact that you can get this little dot when moving the joystick. So with these two options, you should be able to tweak exactly as you wish the behavior of the camera and this dot.
Thanks, yes.
I hope I was complete enough.
I think it was very appreciative from the community whenever we're able to add an option for them to toggle on or off something. So thank you so much for incorporating this fix. Next, we have the horizon line visible through mountains and objects. If you want to talk a little bit about this one, I see there's a note on there. Curious to learn more about that update.
Yeah, sure. So basically, this is a precision in terms of the math involved problem. It's a precision problem with the method we are using in 2020, and there is no solution to completely fix it on this method. The only way is to change the method of doing atmospheric scattering completely, and it's a completely different atmospheric engine. But what we did is we implemented sort of a patch that compensates for the precision error on the horizon and tries to reduce at least the visibility of that line. Only a new architecture of the scattering can make it go away completely, but we found a way in our test cases to at least reduce it. So sometimes it's completely gone, sometimes it's a little bit less visible. So the issue with this line is even if it's half visible, half as much, the color like difference is half as much, it still looks as if it was there. So that's one problem, but at least it should be better. I've only seen one case reported where actually the dark line turned into a white line, but it must be very subtle. So we tried our best to make this better. There's a setting there, so we can always try to make it better if there's areas where we missed something. But so this is as far as we could get, and it should be at least better in many cases.
Cool. And how about the stability and memory improvements going into Sim Update 13?
Yeah, so this is a new way of doing things that we've started over the summer. We've been doubling down on QA. Our QA department has got many more machines. I've even added, so behind me you can see machines. I have now 6 machines in my office, and we're doing, so we were already doing 10-hour, 20-hour flights. The problem is that we were almost never getting the issues that we were trying to find. And now, one of the machines has been flying for 250 hours. We're doing very long flights on these machines. And basically we found, I think there's 5 crashes that have been fixed in Sim Update 13 that were found thanks to very, very long flights. And there was a few what we call memory leaks. It's basically allocations that are not freed ever, and or things that just go bigger and bigger, and that were also causing FPS drops after very long flights. Basically, when we started this effort early in the summer, after 50 hours of flying, the machines were down from 50 to 5 FPS, right? It was really, so maybe after 10 hours of flight, it was not that much, but it could be easily 10 or more FPS. Now, even after 200 hours, the machine starts at 50, it's still at 50. So there's a significant improvement there. So that's for Sim Update 13, but we're continuing this effort now. Our QA department has more machines, and it really helps us identifying issues. It's something we set up and we will always continue. And we've already found a few issues which will be integrated into the next update, because it's a continuous effort. But I think in terms of FPS after long flights, there's always this maybe crash on final or frame rate drops on final after you've been flying 15 hours or something. I think it should be significantly better. I hope so, at least, and that's what we see on our PCs.
Yep. Fantastic. Glad to hear about the new PCs too. So thank you, Seb. Appreciate that. And the logbook issue fix for those who use logbooks and run into this issue where they reach a size limit. Can you go into a little bit of detail on what you did there and what users can expect in Sim Update 13 with their logbooks?
So we did compression. So the logbook gets smaller. So it should limit a lot the fact that we have this limit. And so that was all, just compression on the file so it gets smaller.
Cool. Thanks, Martial. Jorg, will you talk to us about world updates and airport fixes?
Yeah, we promised that we continue to improve things. So we use Sim Update 13 as an opportunity to update things that are either in the base queue and or in the world updates. So on the airports and POIs, both Gaia and Orbex kicked ass, fixed hundreds of bugs. It's in the change list that is coming out. And then we did the same with aircraft. So Airplane Heaven, Blue Mesh, I think is here, and IndyBuilds all did updates to the various planes that will be released on the Flight Sim 2020 40th anniversary edition. So you'll keep seeing us do this, that we improve everything that we possibly can. So, but we are now on very low bug numbers on all this stuff. So
great. And of course, our last 2 updates coming from Working Title, we actually have Matt and Ishan on with us to discuss the changes that Working Title made to Sim Update 13. Hi, Matt. Welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great. I'm glad you could join us to discuss all the things that your team did for this update. We'll start with Boeing upgrades.
Cool, yeah. So as folks probably know who are in the beta, We have got SimBrief integration now into the FMCs for both Boeings. I know folks were a little bit frustrated using the panel, the weight and balance panel for doing, getting their payload in there, because it's a little bit more geared towards GA aircraft. So we've got that also in the CDU now. Step climbs are in. That was a big ask. So that's in there as well. We've got the automatic checklist items for the 787 and 747 where applicable. So now, if you raise the flaps or the gear and it's in the checklist and that kind of stuff, that automatically gets checked off in the checklist. So that's a thing that the real plane does that we brought. And then specifically for the 787, we've got the takeoff performance calculation page now on the EFB. I think I saw a question in chat about why we didn't go further on the EFB. We got a lot of pilot feedback from type-rated pilots that the EFB in the 7.8 is a little bit slow and difficult to use, and most of them actually use sort of an iPad for things like charts and stuff like that. So we want to just do the thing that you really need, which is the takeoff performance. Give people the ability to do that because you can't really do it anywhere else. So that's what we really wanted to focus on there. The rest of it is not used very often by the pilots because it's very slow. And then in the 747, we've got auto fuel system management. So if you're doing long hauls and you're away from your computer, you don't have to manually configure the fuel system. As everybody knows, that's very complicated. So in the settings and the CDU, you can turn it to auto and it will do it for you. And then the VOR and app map formats we've got in there as well. And then just a whole slew of bug fixes, VNav, navigation, all that kind of stuff. So that's for the Boeing stuff. And then for piston engines, we did a lot of work there for the sim update. I'll just briefly go through what they do. One of the things that obviously we had to keep in mind is making sure that we didn't break anybody's aircraft that already exists. So these are all opt-in parameters. So in order to get these fixes, developers are going to have to add these parameters to their engine config files. But anyway, a lot of people were complaining about turbocharged aircraft needing to be leaned as you go up, which is not necessarily correct. That goes back way back. It's some code in there. So we added a new method. So now it uses the density at the intake to figure out what the mixture ratio is. So it doesn't start needing to be leaned until you hit the critical altitude. We also added the ability to change the boost ratio based on the ambient density. Not every turbo is the same, so you can kind of customize that. One thing that people wanted was to be able to set the mixture ratio for the actual lever position. We added that as well, so you can customize that for your airplane. Different engines have different efficiencies at different mixture ratios. Not every engine generates the most power exactly at stoichiometric. So we've got a table for that now if you want to add better efficiency at particular fuel air ratios. This next one uses volumetric fuel flow. This one solves the issue where if your engine stops running, suddenly there's no more fuel flow, even if the engine is still spinning. This uses the volume of air coming into the engine to do the fuel metering, and then you will still get fuel flow. It's just going to go back out your exhaust, of course. It's not powering the engine, but anyway. And then just a few more screenshots here. We've got the EFB. You can see the takeoff performance page right here. Then you've got SimBrief settings. You've got your weight and balance. You can set it from SimBrief. You can set it manually. Here are your open loop checklist items that automatically get checked off. And you can see here on the 747 and also the same for the 787, you get your wind forecast is uplinked from SimBrief 2 as well. And then we've got your other map modes in the 747. So that's our stuff for Sim Update 13. There's some other things like the CJ4 also got SimBrief and other stuff, but you can check out the changelog for all that to see what else is in there.
Sweet. Thank you so much, Matt. Lots of changes and updates. It looks pretty positive in the chat, so really appreciate it. We are now to our first Q&A session. So chat, if you do have a question, feel free to put it in the chat box. I'll be reading through a few of those and also asking some other questions here. Now, this first one has to do with the horizon line I saw earlier in chat. The question is, you mentioned the horizon line being a limitation with 2020. Should we expect that same limitation to be in 2024? Is this something you're willing to answer at this time?
So I can answer if. So I think people have even seen this in the trailer that Jörg talked about earlier in June. So this is something which required a complete rework of the atmospheric engine. For some people who are mathematicians, basically there's two integrals, and in 2020 they're just pre-computed, and so because of that, at some point you get a precision error, and in the rework of the atmospheric engine, everything is sampled at real time. So basically the graphics card computes does all the work in real time, and this eliminates basically all precision errors. And so this is something that we reworked, but it's such a big I would say architectural change that it's something that's not the only way to fix it in 2020 was to just try to figure out a way to remove the line. But that's something that we've resolved, I would say, since. But it didn't make it into the trailer either.
Cool. Thank you, Seb.
So I would say good news.
Yeah. All right. This is going back to Sim Update, the beta that we just experienced. So there was a loading bug for several beta members where they were having issues getting into the fly state, and it did go away eventually in one of the builds. So they were wondering if you knew what was the cause or how it got fixed.
Well, actually, we did not. This is something that we never produced in a servo. So we had some hypotheses, like maybe something related to the CDN or the way the data gets distributed. But while we were investigating on that matter, the issue was gone with the build we did after that. So I don't have a proper answer for that, and I feel yeah.
Yep.
So we were not in position to find what was the issue because it was fixed.
Yep. Thank you, Martial. The next question is, do you plan to do more sim updates in 2020?
Yes, we'll talk about this later today.
We will, certainly will. All right, a question from chat. We have here, will there ever be an upgrade to the Reno Air Aces expansion? Things like other aircraft, other classes, etc.
So there was a good discussion in Cologne with some folks that are on the very dedicated group that is playing Reno. There are some issues. There's some bugs in Reno that we know of. They actually put a nice document together. That is something we'll look at as we keep going, both on 2020 and 2024. And then on new ones, we have a really great relationship with the Reno folks. And as you probably know, they're not going to be in Reno anymore, right? So they haven't quite announced yet what they're doing, but they seem positive that this is going to keep going. And we will be part of that journey with them. So it's right now we're not really planning on doing the sports class or something right away, but Reno will evolve, and I think we will evolve with it.
Yep. Thank you, Jorg. All right, there is a wish list item posted now a few weeks ago. I think it has a little over 800 votes about atmosphere parameters and how they found some ways to make more accurate ones from ARPC. So what are your thoughts on this wishlist item and incorporating this code into the sim?
The thoughts are it's cool, but I think Seb is going to go tell you.
So it's kind of related to the line on the horizon. I mean, it's going to be a similar answer. So in the completely reworked atmospheric engine that we have, we don't have that issue. I mean, we have a much better color engine in there. But we're currently planning to change, I would say, the parameters of the 2020 atmospheric engine so that this gets significantly improved in 2020. So we can't really integrate a complete revamp of the atmospheric engine, but we will do our best to adjust the settings so that it looks better in 2020 already. Sort of almost like a step into the right direction, a preview of what's going to be there later.
Yep.
But for what it's worth, we really liked it. Like we all read the thread. It was like, cool. So thank you.
Thank you. Question in chat here. Can we expect future world updates to target different areas like Africa, South America, and more parts of Asia? I understand it's
Absolutely.
dependent on data.
Yep.
Can you go into that
Yep,
a little bit?
Let's talk about this because we'll talk about World Update 15 here in a little bit. We'll talk about it. I'll give you a little bit more story then.
Okay.
Like I'm reading all kinds of cool ideas.
Sounds good.
Madagascar, but we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Like
We'll hold on that question a little
Yeah.
longer. All right. Will we see any items that are currently in the experimental or beta phase, such as replay mode, DX12, to be improved in 2020?
So let's start with DirectX 12 because I've seen a lot of comments in the chat about that. So we had a conversation with Lionel, our head of the tech here, and well, we've implemented everything that we wanted in DirectX 12. The fact that it isn't still being called in beta, it's because we're still having that device removed issue. I don't know if you remember, but when we did that presentation on the statistics of the crash we had some issue with the graphic cards. So we are a strong relationship with NVIDIA to find what's the issue with that. And once the issue will be, I would say, at the same level as what we are getting on DirectX 11, it's going to be called as not beta anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But everything is there. Everything has been implemented. It's just because of this bug that we don't want to call it like final.
Yep. Yep.
And for the replay mode, well, the development of the replay mode has been completely driven here, but the team that we've got here, the team that does like almost 25% of the videos that's been published for the official Microsoft Flight Simulator channel, all the trailers and things. So basically, they're pretty happy with the tool that they've got. So they haven't asked for any new developments. So I don't know if we can call it like final or something like that. But we are not doing any new development on this replay mode anymore, at least on PC. On Xbox, as we said in the past, it's pretty complicated to bring it to Xbox because it costs a lot of memory, and we don't have that much on Xbox. And at the end, you still need to store the movie you're doing, and edit the movie you're doing. And it's pretty complicated on Xbox to get an access to the hard drive. So this has been removed from the features for Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have any plans to bring it.
Yep. Okay. Thank you, Martial. Our next question. Can you go into more detail on what kinds of updates and fixes you plan to focus on in 2020? What is your priority? Memory optimization, bug fixes, feature implementation, etc.
Yep. Let's go to the next slide.
Thing. All right.
So essentially, the process is, and over the summer holidays, when people took vacation, we were a little bit lax on this particular process, but we just started this again. We meet every Monday to talk through all this, and the priorities come from the feedback snapshot. We are many of them, and we are likely going to go back, Jane, we haven't even discussed this yet, to the feedback from the last 3 months thing that we did for a while,
Mm-hmm.
because some of these are, they're from the beginning of the sim. So I mean, you can see here on that first page with bugs, green is it's either operated on, it's ongoing, being operated on, or things that have already started, and there's a lot of them that are under investigation. And there's very few where we say we're not planning on doing this at all. I mean, I forgot which one it is because my screen is a little small, but happy to talk through all of this. But you should just pay attention again. We're going to update this every week. This one is coming out tomorrow, as you can see, on Thursday, I guess. Whatever the day of the week is today.
Yeah.
And we can go through specifics, Jane, if you want to pick some, or I'm open to anything. But we are actively looking through this.
If there's a few specific ones on here, let me know. While we wait for you to comment, we will just take a quick look at the wish list one as well if you want to comment on anything from here that has changed. I see some new status updates like 2024 in there now.
Yeah, so I did that because people asked, and it's a fair question. Like sometimes we said planned, and then some of these plan statements were even preceding us planning on having a 2024. So at some point, let's clean this up, and we just did.
Yeah.
So some things will happen for 2024 only. Some of them we will take a look. Can we backport this to 2020? That's not known yet. So development has to start, and then we can make decisions on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah. All right. Questions I'm getting. This one we had later, but we could discuss now. What is the update with the World Hub Scenery Gateway system?
We can do this now if we want. I mean, basically, Asobo is done. The tool exists. It's all ready to go, and it's currently sitting with privacy and security of Microsoft, because this is actually a Microsoft website. Microsoft has lots of rules around these types of things, and we just need to be careful to do it right. We have on our side, we have a dedicated, not quite dedicated, but we have a PM that is focusing on this. Our head of tech is focusing on this as soon as we can. As I said, the tool is done. It's really just making sure that it's all kosher.
Yeah. What, looking at the new status updates here, what does the plus sign as opposed to not having that mean for the
it means that we can't commit to it for launch. Like,
okay,
this, like, just like Flight Sim 2020, not everything is going to be there in the launch title. Like, this is if you think of this as a product as a service, it goes on for years and years. We talked about the 10 years plenty. This is similar, right? So we know that things are wanted, we pay attention. We will try to get as much cool things done for launch as possible, and then there will be some things that will come after.
Awesome. And question for one of the ones that said not planned. I'm trying to find it. It's a lot to go through. But someone just asked, the ones that says G1000 hardware keys are not planned. Would love to hear Jörg speak to this if you can about why that is.
I can't. Hopefully Marcel can. I don't know enough about it.
On what topic? I'm sorry, I missed it.
G1000 hardware keys. I'm trying to find it in the snapshot here. I think I'm blind.
It was in the previous page, Jen.
Okay. Anyway, do you have any comments on why that isn't able to be incorporated?
So I don't know all the topic by heart, but if I do recall correctly, it's the fact that you can map the some hardware on the buttons. And so we are going to change it's also related to the architecture that we had on the inputs. And so we are working, it's also for 2024, we are working on changing completely the way the inputs are managed.
Yeah.
And so what we are going to bring is a pair plane kind of definition of inputs. So we will see also if we can enhance the inputs to some other peripherals. So we are working on that. I can't promise anything here. I will have to reread the forum thread. But it will be hard to do some improvement on 2020 on that matter.
Yeah.
It means rewrite everything sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. And just showing here the last page of the wish list. This will come out in the dev update tomorrow, but quick glance at it for everyone here. All right, let's talk about what we have coming next up. Our famous Flyer 7, which is going to be done by now.
I have a little intro to this one.
Please, please.
So I did actually update the development roadmap a few times lately, and if you paid attention, you saw that this was planned for the 21st, and it was turned on the 28th. And that happens not because of software, that happens because of licensing. So this particular plane is done, and we still have not secured the license. We have great communications with the manufacturer, and they are, I think, as excited as we are, but I can't commit to a date yet. But so if you keep going, I think it shows that who's making it. Unibuild is making this particular plane, and what is it? It is the Mitsubishi Heavy Industries MU2. So it's the first time we are attempting to work with Mitsubishi Heavy Industries. Going well, looks awesome, and I think we have a guest to show us more.
We do. We have Mike Standen from Unibuild on with us. Hey, Mike.
Hello. Hey, everyone. How are you?
Doing good. Thanks for joining us. I believe you're sharing your screen with us, so we're going to go ahead and take a quick peek at the Mitsubishi plane here. If you want to go into some details about the development of this, chat is very curious.
So the Mitsubishi Heavy Industries MU2, actually one of my favorite planes, so I was quite excited to be involved in the development of this. But one of the first things you'll notice when you look at the web at this aircraft is the huge number of variations it's got. Literally goes from A to Z in terms of the alphabet and designation, so huge variation out there. So we focused on the short fuselage with the unmodified gear here, which is one of the earlier models that Mitsubishi made. It was originally marketed as an executive and utility transport. That's what the U stands for in MU2. But it also has seen uses as a medevac aircraft, surveillance, involved in policing. So it's got kind of huge capability. But to really capture the essence, we went back to the roots and looked at the executive and utility kind of aspect of it. It's known for some quite unique handling qualities, which we've tried to capture. So it's obviously got roll spoilers for the roll control. It hasn't got ailerons at all. That makes way for some much larger flap area, which gives it great short field performance. It's not quite a Piper Cub, but for £10,000 plus of aircraft, it's got pretty good short field takeoff and landing qualities, and also quite a unique shape in terms of the tail plane as well. With the use of CFD, we've actually managed to quite accurately represent the blanking of flight controls which you get in this aircraft. So yeah, it's a bit of a challenge to fly sometimes, but also if flown properly, it's really fun to fly. Quite a sleek looking thing. I've definitely enjoyed developing it, that's for sure. So as I said, it's got a great short field performance, incredibly efficient in terms of its engines and stuff as well. It's got Garrett GP 331 engines on here, which gives it a range of about 800 nautical miles at 25,000 feet. Interesting fact about it, it's actually flown around the world in just 25 days. So it'd be great for some community flights in the future, hopefully, for those that way inclined. If we take a quick look inside then, so like we said, we try to capture kind of the classic cockpit of it. Quite dominating in terms of the cockpit area. You've got the weather radar up the front there, which is all functioning, and a classic suite of comms and radio navigation aids there. So if you're that way inclined, you could do a complete flight A to B using just the VOR and ADF navigation. However, we do give you the option to obviously bring it a bit more of a classic modern feel. So we've got the Garmin 530 in there with upgraded Garmin panel and transponder as well. All linked to a quite nice little autopilot for the time of the aircraft. So you can fully couple the GPS through the HSI, fly coupled ILS approaches and stuff like that in it. It flies at about 25,000 feet, so you're going to need some oxygen supply. So we've actually modeled the cabin pressurization system in here. It takes a little bit of getting used to because it was quite early implementation of cabin altitude pressurization stuff, but all functioning as well in there. Like I said, we've kind of gone for the classic executive kind of 1960s and 70s feel in terms of the passenger cabin initially, but you can also swap it over via the EFB to simulate some cargo operations as well in there and your medevac flights, etc. In the cockpit as well, basically you need to be an octopus to start this thing in real life. All these buttons need to be pressed almost simultaneously. So we've tried to include most of that logic in the startup sequence. But if you're like me, you can also just press Control E to get the thing going. But you can see like the number of switches you have to kind of simultaneously do to get it going in there. But yeah, hopefully you'll all enjoy it. It's been fun to develop, that's for sure. Given the turboprop aircraft a bit more love, we've tried to accurately get the feel of the turboprop in there, the handling qualities specifically of the ME2, and yeah, we hope you enjoy it.
Thanks, Mike.
Michael, is there going to be a manual?
Yeah,
there is a manual. Yep. So you'll have the full kind of start sequence and how we can swap around the autopilot and stuff like that.
Perfect. Do the doors open? Question from chat.
The door is currently open, and you can close it as well. We've got little details like the cabin light switches and stuff for ambience during during the evening as well.
Yeah. That is incredible. Thank you. Manuals are the best. Yes, absolutely are. Thank you so much for showing off this aircraft. We'll look forward to whenever, hopefully it'll come out soon and we'll all get to enjoy it and try it out. We'll keep you on here, Mike, for a little bit longer. If there's any more questions for him, let me know. But for now, we'll go on to Jorg for our next section here.
Oh yeah, that's the picture-heavy section.
Yes.
I'll go really fast. So World Update 15, and well, after that, we'll probably have the conversation about World Update. So then World Update 15 is Northern Europe and Greenland. Oh yes. So what did we do? I mean, new digital elevation maps, new aerials, brand new aerials. Actually, I say 8 to 10 for the grammetry cities. I'll get to that in a second. 90 points of interest, 5 bespoke airports, and then a suite of activities. Let's go a little bit further. Next. So digital elevation maps, if you just keep going. So Denmark, 40 centimeters, Faroe, Greenland, 2 meters, Finland, Iceland, 2 meters, Norway, 1 meter, Svalbard is 5, Jan Mayen is 2, Sweden is 2. So this was a huge effort. There's multiple teams working on this. Orbex is working on this. Gaia is working on this. Bing is working on this. We are working on this. And what's cool about this is the entire region is basically just about 2 meter resolution, which is a drastic improvement to what we have right now. The colors are, pink shows, I think it's 50 centimeters to a meter. Blue is a meter to 2 meters. No, purple is a meter to 2 meters. Then goes 2 to 5 meters. So it's basically, fundamentally, the dam is great. So something to look forward to when you fly through the fjords in Norway and such, and northern Sweden. Then 10 photogrammetry cities. So it's an assortment. So Aarhus, Copenhagen, going there. Frederiksund, Odense, and Roskilde. So all in Denmark. Next is Oslo. Then we have Linköping and Malmö and Visby. And we might get Gothenburg. That's currently in development. Tin is tough, right? Because you get it from, you record it, then you have to construct the point cloud, then it goes to military authority review, and that can sometimes take a while. So we had Gothenburg just came out, so that's good, and that is now in cleanup and processing, and then we have some other cities. And anyways, so and then as far as POIs, we're just going to go. This is more impressionist than anything. I don't want to say anything specific. Just I think it's going to be beautiful. We're very happy what this region looks like, and just to maybe cover this now. So we did World Update 5. We actually did the Nordics, and it's the lowest rated World Update, and it's partially because the dam wasn't good in some areas. And I mean, I think I told the story. Sweden at the time wanted, I think, 2 or 3 million euro for their dam, the Swedish government. That was too expensive, so we didn't do that. But now we have it. Now it's free. And we had no 10 cities, and now we have 10. So it was. And here come bespoke airports. There's 5. So as very typical, made by Gaia. Just keep going through it, and then I'm going to stop you here for a second. So here's Iceland, and here I just want to say Kjetil. I met Kjetil, I think, in Houston, and he is from Norway. And I love having people from the region actually make things for the region that we're updating. So we have now a Lenkens airport from Kjetil, and I'm very happy that that happened. And then the other 4, so you keep going, the other 4 are from Gaia. All right. And then, so these here, Gaia specifically asked me to put these in. Too quick, Jane.
Oh,
So they did some special stuff for the
cool. Look around. Yes.
Yes. Look forward to it.
Pretty cool.
All right. And then I think I just said here are some of the activities. And here are the bush trips, and then there's 3 discovery flights and 3 landing challenges. So should be fun.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, that's still me. Oh, yeah. And then like I always say, it's a local legend, and it's a water plane. No, it's not. Okay. So who's making this plane? Ini Builds is making the plane. And what is it? Well, it's a Saab, as it should be. And so we talked to Saab, and they were super excited, and they asked us to build this one, B-17. They gave us full access, so we actually scanned the plane in Sweden, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then Ini Builds is taking this to the usual high quality bar. And we're not going to go into great detail. I think Michael or maybe someone else is going to join us next time to actually go into a little bit more detail. But just want to give you a preview.
Awesome. That's what's coming out next. But something
10/31 is the date.
10/31, perfect. And a new announcement here. I'll switch slides. We have Sim Update 14.
Da da da. So remember, if you looked at our roadmap, it said Aircraft and Aviation Update 3. No more. It's called Sim Update 14, and it's partially because, Aircraft and Aviation Updates. The idea was we either make a new aircraft or upgrade an aircraft like Working Title did, or we put some avionics out. But in this case, we're doing more. So it actually would be mislabeling if we would just call this Aircraft and Aviation Update. So, guys, maybe you can speak to what we're doing.
Well, we already have seen in the previous slides that we are working on some improvements on the feedback snapshot, and some of them are related to services that people are complaining about the weather system. So we are trying to improve that. I think that there's the snow coverage. So we'll talk about the snow coverage. We also have some issues, we know, in the multiplayer when people are seeing their partners disappearing. So we're working on stuff like that. There's some performance, especially for the pop-up. When you're displaying some UI, you're getting your performance. Is that everything that we are going to talk later on?
We did get the question about the scenery gateway system, and I see it here if we want to talk about that a little bit,
Yeah,
but
so
we kind of
snow
did.
coverage, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I won't speak too much then.
Zeb, do you want to speak to snow and or ATC?
Yes. So stability and performance, as I already said earlier, there is a few fixes which have already been done, but which didn't make it into Sim Update 13, which are already planned. And our increased test effort on 2020 will go on. And so if we find issues and we will fix. And as much as we can, we'll get into Sim Update 14. Snow coverage, we have identified an issue. So we've looked at feedback, we've looked at the data. So there's basically one issue which has been identified, which is apparently some unit change has happened at some time in the data. And I think we're basically displaying, so when there's zero snow, but when there's snow, I think we're displaying 10 times too much snow because of unit change. So we will adapt to that. And the team here thinks that this will solve a majority of the issues. I've also looked at feedback on the maps, the different maps. So just to clarify things, there is in the source data, there is indeed a map about ocean temperature. There is a map about ocean ice coverage. The issue we have is that we wanted coverage of all water bodies, not just large oceans. And on top of that, we found quite a few issues with the ocean ice coverage maps that are available. One of the issues being that they are not always very accurately representing the coastlines. So if we use that, we have issues where we have ice shelves in the water, and then they stop before the coastline comes. So the solution with it is just take the snow coverage depths. There's basically data about how much snow there is in some place. And we have a threshold, I think, which is situated at 27 centimeters. So if we have more than 20 centimeters of snow, we consider that the water bodies in that area are starting to ice. And that has been working very, very nicely until the unit change happened, which means that now we're basically covering the water with ice when there's 2 centimeters of snow, which is completely wrong. So people, I think, just fixing this is gonna resolve most issues. And we will obviously, once that's done, we will continue to look into the data. Maybe we can move around the thresholds a little bit. I think better having a little less ice. We really try to match exactly the ice shelf data that was there in real time. But I have seen inaccuracies on the data where sometimes it just leaks from the mountains over the fjords, or I mean, currently this is happening in Chile. And I think we have more work planned with the data provider to actually sync with them and try to improve the way maybe they can improve the data, maybe we can improve the data handling on our side, but try to basically get more out of the data that is there.
Right.
And so basically we have started an effort into ATC. Right now we're starting to fix bugs, and the goal here is to get as many bugs fixes as we can into 2020, right? So I think this will start with SimulBit 14. Anything that is not like requiring a complete rework, anything that's really just bug fixes, we will try to get as many as we can. And we have an effort here, testers, designers who are checking into this, and we're fixing issues, and programmers are fixing issues as we basically can.
Awesome. And looking at this, someone asked about the stability and performance and memory improvements. We talk about Xbox stability flighting. They want to know if that means that the stability and performance improvements are focused on Xbox, or will we still continue to focus on both PC and Xbox?
So what we do is, so there's been, in SimulBit 13, there's been a few changes. First of all, we fixed memory issues, memory leaks. There's been memory optimizations. These affect both PC and Xbox. Just as an example, the machine behind me on the right, it used to be leaking about 10 gigabytes after 100 hours of flying. This is now down to 0. There's no leak measured anymore. This obviously it's to the Xbox. And also there's been a change on the Xbox in SimulBit 13 in the way memory is managed. Basically PC has, almost unlimited memory. So if you have a lot of add-ons or whatever, if you have a lot of stuff going on, it can just deal with it. On the Xbox, the amount of memory is fixed. So what we do is there's too much stuff, we try to reduce LODs of environment, of meshes and stuff. And there was basically a conflict with one of the things we do is we turn off the glass cockpits when there's basically no more memory left. And this was conflicting with the LOD system. And I think it was, we've measured that it was causing too many, basically cockpits were turning off and not on again. And I think this is something which contributed in the dark cockpit bug, which has been probably well known. This should be significantly improved with SimulBit 13. And we are looking forward to community feedback if people still see this. Our test teams have reported that it's almost gone, or at least significantly reduced. So this is an effort we did. And in the future, we have this flighting, and any optimization most of the time benefits both platforms.
Awesome. Thank you. And now that World Update 15 was announced, Jorg, I wanted to go back to the question someone had earlier about data availability and why do some places not have a world update yet. Can you go again into a little detail on how that works?
First, I want to say something about Stockholm. I see it in the chat. Obviously, we want Stockholm when you do a world update Nordics. So Stockholm is unfortunately in the before mentioned military review, and it's going to take 2 months longer than we were previously told. So that is why we can't, and that is unfortunate with the TIN data. It has more unpredictability than any other data. Like we never have problems, obviously, with airports or POIs. Aerials are like clockwork. There is a bit of a surge often, but the TIN is just funky. And so we will release Stockholm. It's just not going to be part of this update, but yeah, I will find a way as fast as we can. And there's a couple of other cities. I want to say this here because people have not. I've never really talked about it. Zagreb was in the exact same state with the Eastern European update. We have Zagreb. It's now done, but we are looking for the right moment to release it. And then we also had 2 cities in Slovakia because We did a world update Eastern Europe with 6 countries, and one was strangely missing. We actually did get Bratislava and Košice, I think it's pronounced, but they're not out of review yet. So we need to get overflight rights, et cetera, et cetera. So TIN is tough because there is no backlog, and there are very few companies that actually can get us this. So just to go, because I read it like 15 times just even today, plus it's in the feedback snapshot anyways, like Brazil, like everybody says, what is wrong with you? Why do you not have Brazil? Well, so that conversation started about 2 years ago, I would say. And I've been trying to do what it needs to be done in order to get Brazil 3D cities. And it actually went as far as me thinking about creating a new company, renting our own planes, buying our own cameras, and doing this on our own, just flight sim style. Why not? Now I think I got some people's attention. So our main data provider is now, they believe they have a flyer that they can contract in Brazil. But just to set some expectations, you have to wait for the weather to be good. So best case, we're going to get planes over Brazil in January or February, somewhere there in that range. Then it needs to get captured and the weather needs to be good. Then it needs to be constructed. Then it needs to go in review. Then it needs to go in cleanup. And then it goes, actually, Sobo does some stuff, like they're replacing trees and things like that, and clean up the meshes on their side. And so it takes months. And so I with some confidence said in the feedback snapshot that Flight Simulator World Update Brazil will happen for flights in 2020. I think that's true. But when exactly, which month and stuff, I have no idea. As soon as we can. And that is true for many, many, many places on Earth. Like, for example, when people said, are we working on Africa, South America, and Asia, Middle East, yada, yada, yada? Absolutely. There's not a country we don't work on. But when is the data to a point where it's actually worthy of publishing? That's a different question. And so you will see us going around the world, as I always said, but it's going to take how long it's going to take to get something really great. So that's what we're doing. So I want Africa as much as everybody else, South America for sure, Central America, somebody said Caribbean. All these things will happen. It's just not exactly clear literally to anybody when exactly that is. But we're moving the ball forward on every single region there is.
Nice. Thank you so much, Jorg. That definitely clears stuff up. Do you want to talk about, I have here atmospheric lighting improvements. What is involved in that one?
Yeah, so I think I touched on this a little bit earlier. So there's our plan right now is to bring into Sim Update 14 as much as we can of the color improvements, which don't, basically anything that doesn't require a complete rewrite of the system, we will bring into Sim Update 14, which I think is mostly parameter setting of ozone level, colors, etc. So that's currently the plan, is to have that in Sim Update 14.
Awesome. Thank you, Seb. All right, there are some other updates coming in Sim Update 14. I think we're going to bring Matt back to talk a little bit about this. Welcome back, Matt from Working
Hello. Yeah, so just wanted to talk a little bit about what one of the things that we've got coming in Sim Update, the now Sim Update 14. That is the Cirrus SR22T G6. That's going to replace the current Cirrus. It's going to have all new model and art. It's being upgraded to the Turbo G6. So some of the stuff in the avionics, we're getting to the Perspective Plus. So that's going to have the stabilized approach monitoring. We're going to have the full screen engine instruments page, the weight and balance, the full screen page. We're going to bring trip planning. The cool thing, Cirrus was really interested in us getting TKS in there. So we're going to do that. So we'll have a full TKS sim with the accurate flow rates and the indications for that. And we are bringing finally the control pad and alphanumeric key support to the NXI. So all you folks that have hardware as well, that will light up too once this is implemented. It's not only going to be for the SR22. We'll have events for that for people that are using hardware and some third-party software. And then we're using the piston engine params that we just developed and we're going to add those to the new SR22 turbo. So hopefully that will be one of the first planes that will have that stuff. So yeah, we're super excited about it. We got a couple screenshots here of the avionics. We don't have any of the new art yet, but you can see here's the weight and balance page. Some stuff missing, but it's kind of work in progress. But you can see we'll have the full CG envelope and where you can load the plane. If you go to the next one, we've got the fuel page. The totalizer is this big cool blue bar that they've got on the SR22. So you will be able to adjust that, which will be great. And then I think the last screenshot here, yeah, the full EIS, full page EIS, which is really cool. Lots of gauges and stuff to look at, all the temperatures and things that you need, oxygen, TKS, all that stuff. TKS, by the way, just super quick, is a de-icing fluid system. So there's actually a fluid on the plane, and it weeps out onto the wing, and you get, in the control surfaces, and it kind of de-ices as you go. So you have a bit more ability to fly into icing conditions and stuff. So yeah, we're really excited about it. We think it's going to be a nice upgrade, especially since it's a premium plane. So yeah, it should be very cool.
Yeah, we have a question from chat, just to clarify. Does this replace the Cirrus model currently in the game? Is this an upgrade to that?
Yes, it will. It will replace the current Cirrus model.
Great.
This was triggered, just to give an explanation, this was triggered by Sean Nielsen, who is the CEO of Cirrus, who actually wants us to go as modern with this plane as possible. This is one of those, we have a few manufacturer relationships that are like that, where the manufacturer proactively works with us, proactively gets us all the information we need, and then it's really an execution question, and working title is obviously great. So very much looking forward to this one. And then we have another thing, but we don't have a picture for it. That's how these presentations sometimes get made, right? So we're gonna, I think some people know something. I'm reading the thing, like, really? Okay, fine. So there is gonna be a new A320neo. So new, completely new. Like, so this is a new plane by Inibuilds. Quality goal is similar or better than the A310 that you already have and love, and it's going to sit side by side next to the Asobo A320neo that shipped with launch. And the reason why we did that is because it's going to be more complex, right? I think you all know this, and we didn't want to break all the activities that we're doing with the A320 already. That would have been a ton of work. So that is in development and should be ready with Sim Update 14 for you to enjoy over the Christmas break.
That is exciting. Thank you, Jorg. So can you explain what you mean by side by side? So they'll be able to fly either version, essentially?
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you. Now we'll go into our second Q&A here. Chat, if you have questions about anything we just chatted about, feel free to ask. Or if you have any other questions, go ahead and ask now. I have some questions loaded up here. I'll go ahead and do first one I saw from chat earlier. This is regarding marketplace improvements. They said, I see it was going very well with backlog dropping hundreds week by week, but we did see the past few weeks it did fluctuate and then increase a bit. Are there any problems causing this, or can we expect to see better numbers in the future?
Yeah, it's a good question. So basically, we had a good streak of the backlog numbers over the summer, as you probably saw. During that time, we actually accepted new marketplace partners. That was very exciting. And then to help to burn through the backlog, we said that we added additional test resources. So they basically were all put, everybody we could get were put on the marketplace content testing, both from the Microsoft test team and also from the outside. And that provided a great boost of the amount of content that we could get through to the marketplace. So we basically whittled it down. And then in the past couple of months, the test resources we had on loan started to go back to their actual assignments. And in parallel, we had some process tweaks. We're doing some process tweaks. And it's basically the order with which things are tested. Sometimes they test the PC and the Xbox version completely separate from each other. So we're trying to improve that. So unfortunately, accepting new marketplace partners is once again paused until the backlog is and throughput is more stable and actionable. But what I told Mabel, who runs the marketplace, I think she was here last time with us, if we need to hire ourselves out of the situation, we will go do that, right? I have every desire that the marketplace backlog is essentially as small as it possibly can be. I mean, there's a lot of things coming in, so it's never going to be zero, but we should go back down from where we were.
Yeah.
So that's actively being looked at. The update I got was we're on high alert, New York. I was like, yep. And I just basically said money should not be the factor here. So but they're trying it with process, and we'll see where we get with that.
Okay. Thanks, Jorg. Another question here from chat. This is going back to the snow updates Seb was talking about earlier. The question is, can altitude be taken into account with snow depth ice shelf formation? Would it make sense to remove snow under a certain altitude during summer, etc.?
Yeah, so this is something we will be discussing with our data provider, right? So the issue here is that altitude should be taken into account. I mean, I've been quite a lot into the mountains. Whether a mountain slope is south exposed or not is going to be important, but also has there been sun last weeks? Because like sometimes in the altitude it snows a lot and then it's cloudy and you get snow on the southern slopes in the north.
Yeah.
Where the sun is, but then all of a sudden there's nice weather for 1 week and then everything facing the south melts away. It's more complex than just altitude, so there's things we could do, and we plan to discuss with the weather data provider. Actually, I think it should be them who basically just use that data because they have it to improve what they send us, if possible.
Yep. Thanks, Seb. We'll go into one of our questions here on the presentation. We did talk about World Hub already a little bit. I don't know if there's anything left you wanted to add about when it comes out or anything that the users need to know. There was a question just a second ago here about the World Hub. When it does come out, will there be new assets essentially for people to use, or will it be the ones that already exist?
Nothing's currently planned. I mean, this is not a one and done thing either, right? So we're bringing out the World Hub. For now, it's airport editing only.
Yeah.
Over time, we've talked about all kinds of other things that could be done, but let's just get this out there, see what the process is. You know, we have a team in place to get the feedback because we have to approve the feedback to get into the sim, right? So that's all in place, and let's just get going.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited to see this. I think this is the way to go.
For
Crowdsourcing these types of information is the only way to really get the word accurate.
Thanks, Jorg. From chat, is there any word on water dynamics for float plane pilots, maybe more seaplane bases, etc., considering there are many planes with float options? Thanks.
Well, we're looking into it for.
So we're working on things.
Probably too early to talk about. Like, I mean, are we aware? Yes. Am I the guy who pushed for a bunch of water planes? Yes, guilty. Sorry. So, yeah. Well, it's a topic. We're aware of it.
Fantastic. All right, next question. Since Dune was delayed, does that mean the DLC is also delayed?
It is. It is. So that's why I said in red letters earlier, there's now a hole. The thing that said surprise, that was Dune. So that's why we are actively looking into what else can we do. I mean, I can sort of say what I'm thinking. It's not, you know, it is what it is. All we can do. Like, we can't do magic. But we might do a world update. As I said, a couple of the cities I already mentioned. We might do another plane. That is pretty much all we have sort of at a snip of top of our fingers here. But like, we will try to give you something fun for the holidays, not just the A320 and the Cirrus.
Awesome. All right. This question has kind of been answered. Have you started to accept new marketplace partners? I think you answered that in your explanation of
for a
the
short
question.
moment. Yeah, I mean, right now the optimizing of the pipeline is the focus, right? And then the goal is to approve more partners. Like, we have a sense how many people are waiting. So application showing is pending right now from the time shown is pending from the time they're submitted until they're approved. So there's actually quite a lot of people that we approved, but they didn't finish their part. Right? It takes two to dance. But yeah, I would say the goal needs to be to get the backlog down, and we'll talk about this next month. And hopefully we have already results.
Awesome. And about the marketplace, will we see an improvement in the marketplace partner application structure in the future to have more insight into when third-party developers' applications are in the queue or a status such as denied or pending?
Yeah, that's what I just said. So basically, there's a little bit of granularity we could be adding to this, but let's stay focused on target. It's a partner application hasn't really been the problem. The problem has been just not being able to approve more people because we already have a backlog, and it just would make it worse.
Yeah. And of course, throughout this,
I mean, by the way, I just want to say
Sure.
we do not deny applications, so we have never done that.
Okay. Good to know. And throughout the chat, of course, we've seen a lot of questions regarding Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. So I think to encompass that, when will we start to see new information about 2024? The last presentation at Flight Sim Expo was very insightful, and the community is excited to hear more.
Yeah, probably in the spring, honestly. Like we are laser focused, obviously working on both the current sim and the new features and content. And I think somebody appropriately said that we are going to tie this with some larger announcement. Like I can't just say, hey, here's a ship date. I mean, also to be perfectly blunt, the ship date isn't locked, right? It has something to do with software development. Like the software needs to be great. So we are very committed to bringing this out in 2024. When exactly, we will see. I mean, everybody's working hard, but we'll get more detail as we make progress.
Awesome. We'll take a few more questions here. So chat, continue to ask questions if you want. We have a question here from chat earlier. Are we working on a way to share or import .pln files for Xbox players?
Well, IOs are tricky on console, so I don't think that we've got something planned so far.
Do you know if it's a limitation of anything in particular? Is it just one of those priorities?
So I could not say exactly if it's, well, the world of consoles have changed a lot.
Yeah.
So when we started the software, it wasn't possible for us to read external data from, let's say, a USB drive or something. I don't know exactly what its status today. No, I don't want to say something bad. It has been removed from our scope, at least. It's something that we could bring back if it's possible, but Jörg, maybe you know more than I do.
I was reading the chat, though, man. What?
Okay, no. But yes, it was a strong limitation for consoles not to be able to read external files or user files.
Yeah,
at least it was.
We can obviously not do anything that could be jailbreaking the console. That would be very bad. So I don't know. Maybe we'll take this one next time. I didn't quite follow.
All right. This is also going back to the snow conversation.
Whoa.
Question from chat here. Do you know if the snow coverage fix includes places like New Zealand, for example? We are seeing incorrect snow and pack ice all year with live weather. Do you know what areas, or do you expect this to be a kind of a global fix, Seb?
So I think so. The team here believes I agree that it's all linked to the 10x unit change, where what basically means is that if you had the slightest centimeter of snow in some mountains in New Zealand, that would just 10x that value and bleed down into a valley or lake or whatever. So we're bringing that fix into Sim Update 14, and before the winter in the northern hemisphere, and we hope that's going to fix a majority of issues, and then discussing with the weather data provider, because I mean you can see the weather data in the webpage of the weather provider, and there is a snow layer coverage page, and that's exactly what we use. And last time I checked, I think that was earlier this week, there was an issue with just a very, very rough data in Chile, where I don't know what the resolution is. Maybe it's 50 kilometers or something, and it was bleeding over into the ocean. And the issue is that I don't think that data is always the same it depends on the moment, whatever. When there's clouds, they don't know what they can't detect snow, right? If it's cloudy or whatever, and it's also not very predictable. So sometimes we check into things and it's all right, and then a few weeks or months later, it's not that good, and but maybe it's just the data quality or is obfuscated by the sky or something like that. But so we expect to meet with them and see what we can do in terms of data. But we think that the unit change is going to already bring a very good improvement.
Awesome. Thanks,
Just
Seb.
wanted to say one more thing, right?
Yes.
So basically, NCA guys pinged us on New Zealand, which was great.
Cool.
And then some people wrote us. I got some long emails about weather, and people pointed us at the forum thread. So I think this is super useful. I just want to say that again. Like when we say we read the forums, can't read every single thing. It's just, then we would literally not work. But it's great to have that type of information that people provide, and that leads us to actually making improvements. So thank you.
Thank you. Got a question here back to the World Hub. Do you know if there will be a quality standard required to get an airport through the World Hub before it gets live to make sure, so we can make sure current projects are already ready?
Yeah, I mean, the plan is to have 2 people that are essentially moderators of all the content that will come in. And they are very knowledgeable airport folks. But we have to work through it. That's why initially, and I think it's probably not going to be quite like this, we wanted to have 50 people to dry run this. And then we got volunteers, and it unfortunately got stuck in approval land. But once it's out, we'll work through it, and this is going to be a process that we'll learn something as well. But we prepared as well as we could.
For sure. And may or may not know this one's particular about the World Hub, but do you know if it can be used to submit delete requests for non-existent airfields? There are some small airstrips that have been built over now and can't be flown from or to.
I'm looking at Nicola would know, but I don't know if we do. I don't.
I'm not sure I haven't understood properly.
Deleting some fields that don't.
Deleting something. Oh, yeah. So I understood. So the request we had was to edit the runway's own information on top of what we have. If you edit, I don't know if it's possible to edit something in order to suppress something. So I'm not 100% sure.
We'll get back to you.
Yeah.
There's a team that worked well over a year on this, and
to be honest, yes, we have been very focused on adding information rather than deleting some. So that's why we don't have this information. But well, to be honest, I don't see the mechanism that could allow us to do that, but it's something we could modify in the future if it's not something needed.
Cool. Thank you. From chat, can the team speak briefly to enhancements that are being planned for keybinds and mappings, either for 2020 or later? These are some of my favorite enhancements.
Key bindings?
Keybinds and mappings, yeah.
In 2020, well, with SIM updates, we've increased the number of SIM vars that was exposed to do the default key mapping. So we are continuing doing that. Matt said that they had also some new input for the Garmin. So it's an ongoing improvements. We are reading the requirements from the community and putting some new stuff here. It will be different on 24, but as I said, it's because the input system has been completely rewritten.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Martial. Now, we don't have Hans here, but there's a question: what is the status of the ATR cargo version?
I know a little bit. I mean, so basically, we did talk about it at some point. We didn't pursue this. So I think in the initial ATR meeting we said, "Oh, there's going to be a cargo version." Maybe I forget who said it. But in order to get the plane done, we just went away from it. Like many times, things change.
Yeah.
Then we did the Highline, and then Highline is is a priority for ATR. So I think you will see how it is. There will be more upgrades to the ATR. We're very proud of the plane, very happy how many people enjoy the plane, and we will continue to make that plane better.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not the cargo version is the first thing we'll end up doing, it's currently not the plan. But if enough people yell, then maybe we change the plan. But we are doing cool stuff with the ATR. How about that?
Okay, thanks. Question.
And I mean, just look what we did. Like it was I think the Paris Air Show. We did the Highline, even unannounced, and that was planned with ATR because they wanted to announce it at that show. And there are things like that coming up.
Yep.
So.
All right. So now that we've discussed a ton of updates coming, new things, we do have a new roadmap here from Jorg. Take a quick look at that.
Yeah, so I mean, I filled out with what we talked about today, and then you see, obviously November and December are left open, and I'm determined to do something instead of the Dune thing. I don't know what it is yet, so don't be too surprised if there's something else showing up next month. But it's currently actively being worked on because it's pretty new news that Dune is moving out to spring.
Yep. True.
But I can tell you, I've started working on the Flight Sim 2020 roadmap for 2024, and it looks cool. I can't wait to do the next advanced calendar thing. Then you'll see.
Looking forward to seeing that. All right. Well, we are at the end of our show here, our presentation. Thank you, chat, for all the questions you've been asking. We tried to get to as many as we could in the time frame that we have, but we'll continue to take some questions in the forums and here and there. So we'll do another one of these live streams soon. I think we'll at least do one or two before the end of the year. That's our plan anyway. Jorg, is there anything you'd like to say before we close out?
No, I mean, obviously, thank you for coming. Thank you for simming. And I think we're going to have some really, I mean, I'm excited about the A320 coming out and the Cirrus coming out. I think Christmas time will be great. And then 2024 has some really cool surprises as well. So I think it's going to be an awesome next 12 months.
Yep. Anything from you, Seb?
I had a great time. Thank you for listening and all the great comments and questions in the chat. So I read everything, even if we didn't answer. It's still in the head, and we will think about it. So
for sure. And Marcel?
Well, everything has been said already. Maybe this is an opportunity to say hi to the team which are watching this this stream, or at least they will watch the replay.
Yeah.
So hi the team.
Thanks to Matt and Michael for joining.
Yep.
Yes, really appreciate you both. And the question is, will this stream be anywhere? It will be on YouTube. Briefly, like very quickly after the stream. We just got to get the captions in, and then it'll be live, so you can go back and watch if you want to listen into certain parts again. So we'll get that up for you as soon as possible. All right. Thank you, everyone. I hope you have a fantastic Wednesday and the rest of your week. We'll see you back here in a month or two for our next developer live stream. Cheers. For those who like to join us for a Twitch stream, see you on Friday. It's International Coffee Day. We're going to explore some really great parts of the world. So come join us for that if you'd like. And we'll see you next time. Thank you, everyone.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.